Four options A, B, C, D in an objective exam. It is not the case that A is also right, B is also right, C is also right. It's not the case. So for that purpose, like one answer is correct out of those four, A, B, C, D, and you need to blacken in the OMR sheet, or you need to click to that correct option only. So it is not the case like you are clicking two options or you are blackening two answers that will go wrong. That is the meaning of objectivity. Either it will be 1 or 0. There is no in between. But when it comes to subjectivity, subjectivity is opposite to objectivity. You have an opinion. I have an opinion. So we have different opinions. But those different opinions are to be considered. There is a poem written by Shakespeare, a sonnet. Sonnet is of 14 lines. Shakespeare is comparing his beloved. Thee here means beloved. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Shakespeare is comparing his beloved to a summer's day. Can you compare your beloved with a summer's day in India? No. That will become an insult. But summer in Europe is pleasing. So you can consider that one thing that is good in England is bad in India. So if you compare, and if you say, shall I compare you with a summer's day, that means you are comparing your beloved with something very horrible, something very sultry, because summers are very harsh in India. So that comparison is not valid. You can compare your beloved with moon, that is fine. You can compare your beloved with rose, that is fine. But with summer's day in India, that will become an insult. Now this is subjectivity. This is subjectivity, that something that is okay in England is not okay at all in India. But in subjectivity, there are lots of ways. 100 people, 100 interpretation. So that is the difference between subjective and objective. So generally in an examination, you have both these types of questions. You find objective questions and you find subjective. Subjective questions are of more marks, because when you write subjective answers, then you need to think. You need to present your own perspective. Now, when we say syntax is the scientific study of sentence structure, now this scientific is objective. This scientific is not subjective. It is not the case that, okay, this is right and this is also right. No, it is not the case. If I say job, we have discussed that syntax is the scientific study of sentence structure. Objectively, we will study the structure of sentences. Because we have used this word scientific, because we have used the word objective, and these things are very much the part of research methodology once you conduct a research. And we have discussed that if you want to conduct a research, first thing you posit, first thing you take is hypothesis. Hypothesis is a formal statement about the research. Entire thing is scientific, that we have taking a hypothesis about the subject matter, testing it by observing and gathering data, making generalization about the patterns in the data, and then revising the hypothesis to account for the new generalization. So this entire thing you do all the time. So this is actually a scientific method. So we try to understand this scientific method with the help of certain examples, certain declarative sentences. So what is a declarative sentence? Declarative sentence assert that an event or state of affairs has occurred or has not occurred. That is to say, a declarative sentence can be positive sentence, can be negative sentence. Type question is a question that can be answered by yes, no, or maybe. Fine. So these three options are there. You have either an option of saying yes, either an option of saying no, or you have another third option, that is maybe. So the same, we are taking into consideration Susan ate an apple, Susan didn't eat an apple. And when we try to make it a question, did Susan eat an apple? These 6 sentences, and we need to posit a hypothesis. We need to give a hypothesis based on this data only. So what hypothesis we will give? We will give yes no questions are formed by moving the second word in the equivalent declarative sentence to the front. Fine. Like here, this has is a second word. Fine. So if we want to make it declarative, we can say, hasn't John eaten anything? Then it will become yes no type. We have 6 sentences and we have posited this hypothesis. Now we have 2 more sentences and we will try to look at whether it is fine or not. So these are 7 and 8. Frodo will eat the magic beans. Fine. So it's a declarative sentence. Frodo will eat the magic beans. We do not have any problem considering that. And taking into consideration our hypothesis number 1, yes no questions are formed by moving the second word. What is the second word here? Will. In the equivalent declarative sentence, that means the sentence will remain same as it is. What we need to do, we need to simply move the second element into the front place. So what we are doing, will is the second element and we are making into front. Will Frodo eat the magic beans? It will become yes no questions. Yes, it becomes. You will say yes, no, maybe, whatever. Now the question arises, are sentences 7, 8 consistent with hypothesis 1 or not? What do you say? What we are doing, 7, 8 is what? 7, 8 is again testing the hypothesis. We have given one hypothesis. Hypothesis is a formal statement. We need to check it. We need to test it. And we have tested it is fine. But this is not the end. This is the starting point. Testing at each step is the key of good research. We have 2 more sentences. The little hobbit will eat the magic beans. Now this is a declarative sentence. And what we said in hypothesis 1, moving the second word in the equivalent declarative sentence to the front. So what is the second word here? The second word is little. The second word is not will. Will is 4th word. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we are doing to make it declarative, we are moving will to the front. So now we need to check our hypothesis. So are these 2 sentences consistent with hypothesis number 1? Now this is the second test. No, that means problem is not in the language, but the problem is in our hypothesis. So what we need to do, we need to revise hypothesis. Fine. So once we observe data, test our hypothesis, and if we find our hypothesis is wrong, then the next thing is we need to revise our hypothesis. So we will revise our hypothesis. The grammatical element you are moving. The grammatical element is auxiliary. So what you will write, you will revise your hypothesis. Yes, no questions are formed by moving the auxiliary to the front. Now, this is the thing that you have done. You have simply revised the hypothesis. We have more data, more sentence. The hobbit who will dance at the party has eaten the magic beans. Fine. So the hobbit who will dance at the party has eaten the magic beans. Now you can see, now you have 2 auxiliaries here. One auxiliary is will, another auxiliary is has. Now the question arises, which auxiliary you will use for the question, for making the question. 13 is ungrammatical and 14 is grammatical. Can anyone tell me why 13 is ungrammatical and 14 is grammatical? So what is the main clause here? If I remove who will dance at the party, the sentence is complete. Yes, sentence is complete. The hobbit has eaten the magic beans. So this thing is infixed in between, who will dance at the party. So let's say there is a party and there are many hobbits. There are many hobbits, not one. Now, but I'm talking about that particular hobbit who will dance at the party. The hobbit who will dance at the party has eaten the magic beans. So that means the hobbit has eaten the magic beans is the main clause, and who will dance at the party relative is a relative clause. So when we form a question, we will use the auxiliary of the main, not of the relative. What we have done in 13, we have used the auxiliary of the relative clause, who will dance at the party, and we have not used the auxiliary of the main clause. So we need to use the auxiliary of the main clause. Has the hobbit who will dance at the party eaten the magic beans? So is it clear or not?